This is Access Your Inner Divine, where I help you understand how your intuition actually communicates so you can trust your own inner guidance. I'm Danielle Gray. For most of us in life, we feel like we aren't who we want to be or where we want to be. And this can create feelings of guilt, self-pity, and we can even become shameful of ourselves. We become completely disconnected from our true north, if you will. For most people, this often becomes a vicious cycle of going deeper into those unhealthy patterns, and we become even more disconnected from our inner guidance system. This cycle needs to be broken in order to become in tune and in flow with our intuition and into a healthy mental state where we feel that we are exactly who and where we're supposed to be. However, before you can break your cycle of disconnection, you need to become aware of what is causing the disconnection and have a tool or a resource in place when those disruptors come up. Today, I'm going to try to help you with both potential causes that are personally affecting your connection and a technique that I use that brings me back to connection in just a few minutes. The first potential cause I'm going to talk about is seasons and cycles of life. It's undeniable that we are a part of nature, and we know a huge aspect of nature is seasons and rhythms. We don't get to escape that reality. And if you've got female anatomy, then I'm sure you can 100% relate to seasons and cycles, and this first cause won't surprise you. There are ebbs and flows, and sometimes you won't have the power to override them as much as you wish that you could. When your energy is low, or you're just not in the fucking mood to do soul-inspired shit, take that break. Watch trashy TV. Take a day nap if you can. I think your soul will understand when you're ebbing, and it's not going to judge you for taking a break. During your ebbing periods, you need to ensure that you are also not judging yourself. When you go through inevitable periods of rhythmic winters, the only thing you can do is ride them out and be gentle and patient with yourself until you start to get back into the next season of flow. Another thing I would encourage you to do in these off seasons is to make time for inner presence and stillness. Keep reaching out to your inner guidance, higher self, or soul, and let it know that you've not forgotten about it and that you are still committed to trusting and following its guidance when it speaks to you next. Fears are next on my list of potential causes of disconnect from your inner guidance. Fear can be very tricky and is often derived from the aspect of ourselves that wants us to remain in perceived safety, to be comfortable, and it doesn't want things to change because there will always be an element of unknowingness that comes from change. And quite often when our inner guide wants us to walk towards something deeply desirable that we want to go forward into, that means that we probably have to walk new terrain. And what that means is that changes must happen. When your intuition is giving you messages and prodding you to do something that is new to you, even if the benefits and the freedom you would likely experience would be positively transformational, fear will likely find a way to sneak in. And if you let the fear dominate over the intuitive signals, this will cause disconnection and a whole lot of confusion. A third potential cause of disconnection is overthinking. This is a lot like fear, but can manifest into different unhelpful thought patterns, and some can even be caused by fear itself. This one was huge for me and still occasionally sneaks its way in, and I have to deal with it right away, or else it can spread like a slow poison. I spent most of my life stuck in my head and dealing with a lot of anxiety, depression, and irrational thoughts. Overthinking doesn't even have to get as far as anxiety, depression, or irrational thoughts to be able to wedge its way between you and your inner guidance. It can be as simple as some of these: mulling over a to-do list obsessively, trying to re-edit a project over and over and over again because you don't think that it's perfect, worrying about how people think of you, mentally reliving past situations and experiences in a really unhelpful way, or creating stories about the future from a catastrophizing or a worst case scenario lens. Your body is the instrument or channel that your intuition or inner wise self speaks to you through. So if you're in your head more often than you're present in your body, you are bound to miss a lot of the signals, messages, and guidance it's trying to get you to hear, see, or feel. Next, unexpected life experiences and situations. We all go through circumstances that make us feel disconnected. Sometimes those circumstances pull the proverbial rug right out from underneath you, and you can be overcome with shock, grief, or any other really big, vast emotional state. Even though it feels like it at the time, whatever circumstance you're going through that is big enough to make it feel like your intuition is gone permanently, I can tell you from my experience, it's not permanently gone. So I can remember a couple of years ago where my family had gone through a huge shock and a new reality that was absolutely shocking and terrifying. My children were having a sleepover and were camped out in our living room one night. And a couple hours after my husband and I had fallen asleep, my oldest child runs into our room, freaking out, telling us that we needed to get his younger brother, who was 9 at the time, to the hospital. My husband and I ran out to the living room where we found our son unconscious, but with his eyes wide open. He was foaming from the mouth and he was convulsing violently. We had no idea what was happening because this had never happened before. My mind and my body shut down. I went into a state of panic and fear like I had never experienced before. Not only did my mind and body shut down, it felt like my ability to connect with my inner guidance and my ability to receive information from my intuition shut down too. And this went on for months as my son underwent medical testing and we found out his diagnosis. In that time, I could only focus on what was happening, coming to terms with it and adjusting aspects of our lives because of his diagnosis and the new reality we were living with. I did, however, begin to feel more connected when things in my life started going to a new normal and I had dealt with the trauma that I had acquired from the entire experience. If you're going through something really big and life-changing, just keep the faith that reconnection will come back again, and I'm very positive that it will. Okay, so the next potential cause is dismissing your intuition as imagination. This tripped me up a lot as I was beginning to develop a relationship with my inner guidance system and intuition. One of the biggest questions I see asked from people on an intuitive or psychic development journey is, what's the difference between my intuition and imagination? When you aren't sure what the difference is, you will start to doubt yourself. And once you start doubting yourself, your self-trust will begin to erode. That self-doubt and lack of trust in yourself will become the roadblock between you and your intuitive signals, because every time you dismiss or show a lack of trust in yourself, the voice of your intuition starts to become quieter and quieter. The only way to know whether something is coming from your intuition versus your imagination is to know yourself and your natural intuitive sensing style that is unique to you. You need to be comfortable taking time to observe your thoughts on a regular and consistent basis, and over time, you will be able to identify the difference. There are many different ways your intuition speaks to you, and I'll cover the most common in the next potential cause of disconnection. When you are getting information from your intuition, it is usually very subtle, it happens quickly, and unless the same intuitive impressions or intuitive hit is coming consistently, it can feel like it slips away from you very quickly after you receive it. Intuitive guidance is usually able to be received from us when we are receptive and open to it. You have to think in like a daydreamy state, a calm, where you're in the flow, where we receive random bits of information that kind of just come out of nowhere. They're kind of like quiet little surprises when it comes from our intuition. Intuitive guidance is loving, simple, it has an air of inspiration to it, and has not only your highest interest at heart, but the higher interest of the collective as well. In my experience, it is never angry or hurtful or will ever tell you to harm yourself or others. It will hardly arise if you are fully concentrated in your logical thinking mind. Imagination, on the other hand, can occur at any time in nearly any mental state. Your imagination will be a byproduct of what you're currently thinking about, and it's like you add your own subconscious elements from previous experiences to what it is you're imagining. Whereas when you get intuitive impressions, it's the act of receiving and not creating. I highly suggest before trying to connect with your intuition that you are in a calm and receptive state. You want your mind and your body to almost feel like a blank canvas where your intuition can paint its artwork on. And last on my list is not knowing your natural intuitive sensing style. It can cause you to feel like there's a disconnection happening even when there isn't. You're just not picking up what your intuition is setting down for you. There's a myth that in order to receive intuitive information, what comes through must be big, loud, and unmissable, or that it has to be physically seen. In reality, though, it's often the opposite. Intuition is very subtle and it's not usually dramatic. It also very rarely comes through the avenue of physical sight. That's more of like a Hollywood TV or movie kind of thing. It's actually more likely to come through your inner senses. The most common ones are inner sight, and this is the space where you dream or visualize. Inner hearing, and that's where like subtle thoughts that come through and are in your voice, but they're unexpected, they're loving, they're inspirational. There's inner emotional or somatic feeling. So emotional feelings or body-based feelings like goosebumps, butterflies in your stomach, electric like tingles or sensations. And then there are inner knowings. And those are like really quick pieces of information that don't logically make sense, yet are meaningful. And they come on so quick that you have no idea how you even got that piece of information in the first place. So if you aren't sure which is your strongest natural intuitive sensing ability, I do have a free downloadable self-discovery guide that you can have. It's got a couple of self-assessment tests and includes experiential exercises for each of the intuitive sensing styles. And you can find that through the link in my bio or on my website, accessyourinner divine.com. Or if you're reading this on my blog, you can click on the link here. Now, how do you get connected to your inner guidance or intuitive messaging system again when you've found that you are disconnected? I've been using this technique for a very long time now, and it's worked for me 99.9% of the time, outside of the ebbs and flows and the big life circumstances. Those are different. The technique is this, and it only takes a few minutes once you get the hang of it. So I want you to find somewhere comfortable to sit or lie down. You can do this standing, but if it's your first time, it might be easier to sit or lie down. Now, I want you to close your eyes and imagine your breath is a magnetic energy that attracts excess thoughts, feelings, and mind chatter to it. Now, take a deep breath in through the nose, feeling that energy working its way through your head to the top of your crown, and draw that air down through your chest, down to the lower belly, and allow it to continue to your pelvic area, your thighs, your knees, and all the way into the soles of your feet. Really imagining and feeling your body allowing the strong magnetic energy to pull even the most stuck thoughts. You don't even have to know what thoughts are stuck. Don't go digging. Just focus on the breath and the sensations of it attracting what needs to be pulled out. And hold this for a couple seconds if you can. And as you exhale, allow it to travel all the way back up and out of your mouth, imagining excess thoughts and mind chatter leaving your body and even leaving the space around your body. Imagine or feel the magnetic current just carrying whatever needed to be released away from you. And you can breathe normally now. Now, I want you to focus on your body and be really present with it. Specifically your feet, your hands, your legs, and the seat or the floor beneath you, and the way that your body is settling into it. Good. Now you can repeat this if necessary. This should get you out of your head and tuned into the instrument or channel your intuition or inner guidance system uses to send you messages or signals. And after you finish the exercise and begin to feel more present in your body, this is where you can make the reconnection real and allow it to communicate directly to you. Instead of immediately jumping back into thinking, planning, scrolling, or analyzing, try to stay in that quieter state for just a little bit longer. Just let your body settle, let your mind soften, just let yourself exist without trying to figure anything out. Remember, you want to be a blank canvas that your inner guidance can paint on. When the mental noise lowers, your inner guidance becomes easier to notice again, not louder, just clearer and just more accessible to you. At this stage, I recommend placing a hand on your chest, your stomach, or wherever you feel most grounded, and internally acknowledge your inner self, your inner guidance, your higher awareness, or your soul. You don't need to force an experience. You're just simply reopening the line of communication. You can gently say either in your mind or out loud, I am open to reconnecting with my inner guidance. I trust that you are still here, even when I'm feeling disconnected. Now, from this grounded state, you can move into a reflective presence rather than overthinking. So this is not about interrogating yourself. It is about listening to yourself. You may want to journal or quietly reflect on questions like, how am I truly feeling right now, beyond surface level emotions? Have I been living mostly in my head instead of in my body? What has been mentally overwhelming or overstimulating me lately? Where in my life do I need more stillness and inner presence? What small action would signal self-trust instead of self-doubt? If I stopped resisting my inner nudges, what positive shift could happen for me? Let the responses come naturally without pressure to hear anything dramatic. Your inner guidance does not usually arrive as loud declarations. It often shows up as subtle clarity, gentle realizations, or quiet emotional knowing. The more often that you return to your body instead of staying trapped in cycles of overthinking, the easier it becomes to recognize your inner signals again. Reconnection is rarely about finding guidance that disappeared. It is almost always about clearing the mental and emotional noise that made it harder to perceive. And something I've personally learned through very real life experiences is this. Your inner guidance does not abandon you during stressful seasons, trauma, or emotional overwhelm. It simply becomes quieter while your nervous system feels threatened or is in survival mode. But it's still there. It's patient, it's steady, and it's waiting for the moment that you return to presence. And every time you come back into your body, soften your mind, and choose self-trust over self-doubt, you are reconnecting.